Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week, we're covering Halloween Kills.
My grandmother was right. The boogeyman was real.
It's over.
We can't hurt anyone ever again.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Somebody in there?
Michael Myers is alive.
Stop! You had a knife in your stomach.
You and Allison should not have to keep running. Evil dies tonight.
I'm not just gonna sit and watch another innocent person die.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
What do we do?
We fight.
Let's hunt him down.
Michael Myers is flesh and blood. But a man couldn't have survived that fire. The more he kills, the more he transcends.
Run! Go home now!
He's the essence of evil.
Do it! Do it! You want your mask? Come and get it!
I'm coming for you, Michael.
So we're going to start off informing everyone that this is a spoil cast. Do not move forward. Go back, look, watch the movie. It's in the theaters and it will be on Peacock if you happen to have Peacock on Friday.
If you don't have Peacock, take out a free trial.
Yeah, and watch it if you don't want to spend the money or don't want to be in a theater right now. And spoilers. So you can't say anything because we have told you multiple times.
There will be spoilers. And by the way, not to advertise for Peacock for free, but they actually have some pretty good stuff on there for Halloween. They've got all their TV shows broken down with all the Halloween episodes singled out. A lot of good horror movies. I've been enjoying Peacock in October.
Should we mention the giveaway that we're doing now or should we mention it at the end?
We'll mention it at the end.
Okay. We're doing a giveaway. If you want to know what that's about, listen to the end of the podcast. If you don't want to hear about the movie, you can just skip towards the end. So let's go right off and say thank you very much. We're very appreciative to be able to have the opportunity to view this film. We viewed it last night, Tuesday. And yeah, it was free and we are not going to complain or say anything because we had a great time watching this very free film. The original, as you may or may not listen to the very rambly podcast we did. We tried to do a podcast on all the Halloweens. It gets out of control. It was out of control. It was all over the place because we love the films and it was too much for us. It overtook us like a tsunami and we could not handle it. Maybe later on we'll go and revisit and break it up. But for the most part, I am a huge Halloween fan. The originals, and Shad is also...
Except for, though, we like, to one extent or another, we enjoy all the Halloween movies except the two made by He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Those are not Halloween films. That's Psych 101 anyways. So let's start off by saying that you may have heard me in other podcasts or whatever say I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things, and I do become very passionate about certain subjects. This franchise, or should say the John Carpenter's Halloween, I'm very passionate about, and I feel some kind of way about remakes, sequels, other things that have come down the line regarding Halloween, including the 2018 film that came out. Obviously, this is the sequel to that film. I want to throw, you may or may not know, the original film was shot only in 20 days. And there is no blood in the film. People left there thinking that they saw a massacre. They had
Same way with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They talk about all the blood in that, but there's no blood.
Really? There's no blood? Not even in the hanging, when they hang them in the...
Nope.
In the thing?
You don't even see the meat hook go in. It's just implied.
What about where she's in the chair and she's all messed up? She doesn't have any blood on her face? I find that hard to believe. But we're going to take Shada's seen that film way more than I have, because that film fucking terrifies me. And I've probably seen the original maybe twice in my whole life, even though I own it. But it's like one of those, like, you have to own it. You can't be a horror fan and not own Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So those are little tidbits about the original film. There's so many other things about it, but we're not going to get into it because this podcast is about Halloween Kills. We're going to name some of the characters. I'm going to name here some of the characters that come back. You have probably watched the trailer for this film and have noticed some recognizable faces. Right off the bat, if you're a huge fan, you already knew from like the first trailer, there were, by the adult versions, that these people, who they were when they first showed them. Now they've kind of done a non-fan kind of split screen, trailer where they show like the adult and the child version or the other version in the original 1978 film. We have Kyle Richards reprising her role as Lindsay Wallace, and Anthony Michael Hall is Tommy Doyle. That wasn't the original actor playing Tommy Doyle. Anthony Michael Hall isn't. But he is playing him in this version of the film. They were the boy and girl that Annie and Laurie Strode were babysitting in that fateful night. We have Marion Chambers, who's played by Nancy Stevens. She was the nurse that was helping Loomis transport Michael in the original. We have Lonnie. Now, he does have a last name here. I'm sure maybe he had a last name in the other film, but he was known as Lonnie because in the original...
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass out of there.
It's away from there. Lonnie is being played by Robert Longstreet in this film. We also have the return of Sheriff Brackett. Charles Cyphers is coming back to reprise that role not as a sheriff.
Yeah, he's working as a security guard at the hospital.
Which is genius.
Yeah, which, by the way, if you ever get to meet that guy, super nice in person.
He is super nice.
It's like he will talk to you forever. He has a million stories about the movie and everything, and he loves talking about them.
And, of course, you have... there's actually two people playing Michael Myers. You have Nick Castle, the actor that played him in the 2018 film, is also reprising, but I wanted to name the original cast. Now, there are the other people that are also obviously in the film. We have the other people that are reprising their roles from the 2018 film.
Yeah, you have like Judy Greer coming back as her daughter, and you have, I totally spaced on her name. I was trying to find that.
Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode, obviously.
Jamie Lee Curtis, the granddaughter too, I was trying to find.
And then her name is like Andy Machat.
Yeah, here it is. Andy Machake. I'm not sure how you say that.
Andy Machake. We're gonna go with Andy Machake.
Go with that. And you have her boyfriend is returning, which we kind of forgotten about him that last time. In the movie, in the 2018 version, she leaves him at the dance, and that's just kind of it. We don't really see anything for him again, but he pops back up in this one early on. I was kind of surprised. I thought he was just done and that was it. But he's Dylan Arnold is his name. And that's really the main ones that are coming back from the previous movie.
We do have Frank Hawkins, which is the...
Oh, yeah, it's Will Patton plays him.
Yes.
And I know him not from... He's done a ton of character actor work, but I also know him from... He has narrated a ton of Stephen King audiobooks. He did all the Mercedes Killer ones. He did The Outsider.
He has a great voice.
Yeah, he's very good at that, and he really puts you into the story. And so when I hear him, a lot of times I'm hearing the Stephen King book. When I see him, when I'm hearing his voice, I'm like, oh yeah, that was him from the thing. It kind of distracts me a little bit.
Now you're thinking, wait a second, that guy is dead. And here's the first spoiler. He's not dead. And then we're going to just move on.
He made it.
He made it.
I was a little surprised. He made it.
The opening to this film had me squirming, jumping up and down in my seats like I had won the lottery. I was crazed because...
Oh, one reason you were crazed? We forgot to mention this, but now that we're past the whole thing where we bring up spoilers, returning to the Halloween franchise for the first time since his death in 1995 is Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis.
And it looks fucking fantastic. It's not the... Disney, when they redid Princess Leia, it's not that. It looks I mean, if I didn't know that man was dead, I thought he was like hanging out in the mountains with like Kurt Cobain and like Elvis Presley, like alive.
Yeah, it looks really good. I don't know what they did. If it's it has to be like a combination of a live actor with CGI over him. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, they did an amazing job because it looks exactly like Donald Pleasance and sounds like Donald Pleasance. I was looking to see if I could see any info on it, but so far I haven't found anything. And it's just, whoever did it, hats off to your special effects team because they did a great job.
Now, we went to Halloween Horror Nights one year when they had the Halloween 78 house, and there was an actor in there that looked exactly like Loomis. I mean, he was a fantastic impersonator. And, we were like, oh man, someone should call this guy up. I mean, he looked so much like him. I wouldn't put it past if it was, like you said, a combo of like digital and like someone stepping in that had the same build, maybe the voice, or maybe they chopped up versions, they like, what is it? Deep fake?
Yeah, they did a great job if they did.
It looks flawless. Like I was like, okay, he's alive. As you may know or may not know, the 2018 version, nothing is canon after part one. So the 1978 version, and then you have 2018. That's where it like picks up. There isn't Halloween 2, none of that. Everything has been erased after. So what this film does is go back in time. The continuity is freaking insane. It is and it isn't. It is in the regard of, what happens in the 78 film.
Yeah.
Where there's pockets of things that weren't shown. And where they can place a scene without messing up any of the continuity to the 78 version.
And they do a pretty good job of that.
They do a freaking fantastic job. Look, I'm not going to say I went in there wanting to hate the movie. I had my issues with the 2018 version. I thought it was just an homage fest, with not that many original ideas. The film overall, I did not expect it to be. The original's a classic, hands down. It's no movie made after is gonna be able to even touch that film because of just so many different, things that went on in the original, how long it took, what they had to do, the fact it was an independent film. Like, there's so many different things. You were not gonna be able to bottle that again. But this Halloween Kills film, it really just it was better than the 2018 film. I mean, it was like people that actually love, and know of the world and were able to put pieces together, that to fill in those blanks because we don't have a reference because of everything else has been kind of like thrown away to the wayside.
Yeah. What I do like about this one is that much like the original Halloween 2 is I always love it when the movies pick up like 1 second later. This one literally picks up just right from the end of the 2018 one. And I always enjoy that because there's just something about where you see the movies that kind of take place like over one night like that. And it looks like the third part's going to be the same way. So it'll be kind of interesting to watch all these and realize that this whole thing takes place over like less than 24 hours,
Yeah, probably from 5 p.m. when it got dark to 5 a.m.
Yeah, there's going to be a 12-hour time span that all this shit has happened in. It's going to be a really bad day for these people.
They show you the character, the boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend. She broke up with him. He's still in the freaking Bonnie and Clyde outfit, dressed as Bonnie.
Yeah, he's still dressed as Bonnie. They were going to do the cute little couple thing of, we're going to swap the genders of the people. Ha ha ha.
He sees his classmate and friend has been murdered. Then he views the sheriff laying on the floor, goes over to help him. And, the sheriff, Hawkins tells him that he's going to kill Michael Myers.
It's I've got to kill Michael. I should have done it a long time ago.
And then we go back into 1978.
And we see some of the things that happened after Michael hit the ground after being shot by Loomis 6 times and getting up and walking away. We see what else he did that night. We see his encounter with Lonnie, where Lonnie got to come head to head with Michael Myers and survived. Hey, good for him.
Yeah, the boogeyman didn't get him, even though Loomis he told his ass to get away from there.
He should have went.
And
then you see that he has a confrontation with Michael Myers along with some of the other cops. And that's where we see our great doppelganger of Donald Pleasance, that he shows up. I think all you have to do to get the Donald Pleasance voice right is you just have to go into the files and search for as many times as he says evil and Michael Myers, and then you just string those together. And you have the perfect, you just believe it's Donald Pleasance yelling because all he ever said was, Michael Myers is evil. He's the devil. You just string those things together. Perfect Donald Pleasance voice. You're fine.
You're probably right. I mean, I'm sure it didn't take that much work for them to do that.
Yeah, they had all the clips of him saying everything. They just had to slightly rearrange them a little bit and you're fine. Which I'm sure they have the software to do that.
So we go from there, and we're not gonna go step by step, but another scene I really enjoyed was, we see the nurse and the doctor from the 2018 version where they were leaving their house, going to their destination, and they were getting in their car. Before they enter the car, the nurse, she sees Michael. He's standing at the, middle of the sidewalk, and he looks at her. She's looking, in that direction. She looks at him, and then they get in the car and drive away. We never see them again. But here they are. We see that they're now at a bar, and, they're watching some kind of, a karaoke competition that's going on.
It's like a weird talent show. You got a ventriloquist entering it. You have a mermaid singing trio. It's very strange.
Yeah.
This is a unique bar they've got in Haddonfield.
And there are some rowdy people, right behind them. And the camera, the way they shot that was you see in focus the nurse and the doctor. And all you see behind them, because they're kind of sitting behind them, at a higher level, on bar stools with that little, have you ever been to a bar? And you see hands and drinks, and you hear conversations, and you can tell, via being a fan, that, oh my gosh, this is Lindsay. They do mention the people's names. This is Lindsay. This is Lonnie. This is Tommy. This is Marion. All together, just shooting the shit. And that's when we get more information from the bartender, the owner of the bar, who tells, the doctor that, did he ever hear the story of Laurie Strode of the Boogeyman, and how those people were the survivors, and every Halloween they get together to celebrate, how they survived, and also celebrate, Laurie and all of that. And that I enjoyed so much, because even though Tommy isn't, the original, they were kids anyways, so
you can kind of pass over that.
You can pass over that. I mean, he had kind of blondish hair. Anthony Michael Hall is a good, it was a good casting for him. And we know Anthony Michael Hall. We love him from, every fucking 80s movie, John Hughes movie ever. So it's not like we don't have a relationship with the actor. But to see Kyle Richards, Marion, all the original people reprise their roles, and Lonnie's also played by someone different. To have them get, together and talk about what happened, during that event. And, Anthony Michael Hall goes up and tells the story of the boogeyman and how,
you get to see that for years now, this has been kind of there to the bartender even says, oh yeah, it's the rowdy ones. Every Halloween they get together and come in here and shoot the shit and get drunk talking about Michael Myers. So this has been 40 years of them dealing with it in their own way too. They didn't go to the extreme that Laurie did in the movie, but they did their own shit. They just get together and get trashed every Halloween talking about Michael.
I like how they call Laurie's thing the compound. I mean, it is a compound, but it's just funny to hear them like, oh, Laurie in the compound.
Now, one of the things that I always look for in the Halloween movies that's always fun is to watch what they're watching on TV. Because they're always watching something kind of fun on TV. And of course, in the original, they were watching The Thing.
Yes.
This one, in the 2018 one, they were watching that TV show from the 80s called Voyagers, which I remember watching as a kid. So I was like, hey, I remember that show. And this time around, they're watching, when you see Michael break into someone's house, they're watching Funhouse.
Yeah, they're watching Funhouse.
Which is a favorite of mine because it's just so insane. But it's good to see that that's still on some people's radar because I love that movie.
Likewise, I'm a huge fan. And if it wasn't Funhouse, because we're 98.7% sure that it was Funhouse, let us know if you have seen the film and you disagree on what film it is. I don't know. I mean, obviously we saw it in the theater, so it's not like we could pause and see like what credit they give. But if they give any credit at all to the film, because it's literally like there's probably 2 shots, and within that shot of it being in frame, it's like a second or 2.
Yeah, but it looked to me like it was Funhouse, so that was good to see.
I agree with you. There was a scene with a fan. I was like, that's Funhouse. Like, I was like, yes, that's Funhouse. There's so much going on, and you are there at the bar, and now you're with Laurie and her family and how they have left, and they're going to the hospital because they need obviously medical assistance for Laurie. The house is
burning down, and we've all seen the trailer where they're screaming, let it burn, and man, should they have ever let that thing burn.
Yeah, they should have let it burn because Michael's not a dummy. I mean, yeah, for a lot of things, he is, but he's not a dummy because, and this is what I'm saying about continuity. Who would have fucking thought? Everyone, even me, was like, there's no way he survived that. How could he have survived? He's in a fucking basement. Like, he can't get out.
But even then, in the 2018 one, when they cut back to the house at the end, they were showing it burning and there was no Michael Myers to be seen. So we were like, well, he must have got out somehow. He didn't get out. He just went and put himself in the room where all the guns were at. She had the roll-up door with all the guns. He just went in there and rolled the door down so he was safe from the flames and just waited till the fire department came. And man, that was a bad day for the fire department.
It was a bad day.
They tried, though, when he came out of the house, and we've all seen the preview, when he comes out of the house and they're like, all right, we're firemen, we're tough guys, we got axes and chainsaws, let's fuck this guy up. Nope. Should have just got in the fire truck and left. That's what you should have done.
This is not the babysitter murderer from the original where there's no blood shown and we're gonna be, real good about it. No. He's like, no holds bar. Every kill in this film is like, oh shit. Like, I can't tell you how many times I reacted to kills because they were just out of this fucking world.
Yeah, like this is one of the most brutal slashers I've seen in a long time. And, the audience in the whole movie was just screaming constantly. And there's a point where they're actually fighting Michael and someone in the audience just yelled out, do not stop fucking him up! And just yelled out from the crowd.
Because we've all felt that way.
Like, don't stop. But yeah, they do a great job of making them. Man, the kills in this show are painful.
Wow. So here we are. We're, going. Michael has killed everybody. He's escaped. Now he's, doing his thing, going to wherever he's going. We all think, even Laurie thinks that he's going to the hospital to get her. Because, of course, that's, what she feels. He's after her and he's stalking her and whatnot. And it's revealed in the film that actually he's not stalking her per se. He's actually just trying to get home.
Yeah, he just wants to get home.
He just wants to get home.
Because they even point out that the granddaughter, Laurie Strode's granddaughter, points out that, look, he didn't know where Laurie lived. He didn't come to her house. He only went there because his crazy psychiatrist drove him there and opened the door and let him out.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason he went after Laurie. He wasn't going that way. And you realize, he was just trying to go back home. So I'm interested to see what they do in part 3 of this. And then it's called Halloween Ends, I believe. What are they going to show? Because he keeps going to the top. They even show that in the flashback that they do in this in the 78 times. He goes to to his sister Judith. He goes to her room and is just looking out the window.
They made it a point in dialogue between the officers that's one of the officers that he had actually played with Michael when they were kids. And he always just sat out the window, out of Judith's window, and just look out the window. And like he was obsessed with just looking out the window. He never played with him. And we all know that he in the film he does go back. It's mentioned multiple times.
And you see him twice go back. He goes back in 78 when they flashback. You see him go back and stand and look out the window. And he goes back in this one and is looking out the window a couple of times. So I'm interested to see what they're going to show. I swear to God, if he turns out to be looking at a giant silver shamrock logo, I'm going to crap right there in the theater.
No. It's, what is it? It's the Druid Temple.
Yeah, you're looking at across there and you see like a replica of Stonehenge. Look at the symbols, like the symbol for the Thorn Company or whatever it was. And then there's like a Stonehenge symbol. You're like, oh shit, all this time they were right.
Oh, Celtic.
I wonder if they will bring that in at the end of it.
Okay, so I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to get to that because I have some issues. Okay. No, I shouldn't say issues.
Let's see what the issues are.
They make it a point, like you said, to have him go back home. That's his whole thing. Obviously, they've already established in the 2018 version, and this is probably going back to what Carpenter wanted to begin with. He did not want them to be related. There's no relation between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers in these films. It's just a guy killing people. She's just a survivor. The end. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time. They have mentioned that thing, so we don't know where that's going. Another thing. This is the thing where I was like, the two things I didn't like was the time. They took too much time in one scene, which we'll get to that in a second. And the thing is of having them go, I don't want to say go out of their way, but include in dialogue and also in Michael's reaction or Michael's, however you want to say, the way that he's not affected by getting his ass shot, beat, down to the ground. He just picks up like, hey, here I am. The supernatural thing. What are they trying to do with the whole supernatural thing? Now, even though none of the other films are canon, there are some things that I feel like they wanted to bring back into these new movies, which is the supernatural thing, because in the later movies, he does...
Once you start getting the mark of thorn on you, that's when it's
they got the mark of the mark of thorn, and he's supernatural. There's supernatural elements, and there's people worshiping him and the evil because like real serial killers. The alignment of when he was born, of the stars and the planets and all that. They get into the whole fucking thing, right? Are they bringing that back? Why? Because it doesn't make sense. Or they're giving him like, Friday the 13th, Jason like powers where he just can't fucking die. He's not gonna die. You're gonna blow him up. You're gonna throw him in space. You're gonna fucking drown him. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So that was an interesting thing because Laurie mentions like he's transcending being a man. He's becoming something more than a man.
There's a whole dialogue, a whole monologue on that.
And they kind of imply that people's fear and people's hatred and people's violence kind of fuels him and makes him more powerful. So the only way, if you follow that logic, the only way to kill him would be someone that just like accidentally do it or something. You know what I mean? It'd be one of those
someone that's just happy? It's like just a happy-go-lucky, most positive person in the world.
Someone has to kill him without any kind of malice. They have to kill him out of love.
Yeah, they're gonna kill, I swear to you, if they kill him with love, like Care Bear style, I'm gonna throw something at the fucking screen. Or it has to be
like someone has to just like, grab him, give him a big hug, and while they're hugging him, just strangle him. I don't know. Give him love. Give him love till he dies. I don't know.
Maybe there was a McDonald's being built across the way back in
78, and he was excited to go get his Happy Meal.
back in 78 and no, back in what was it, 63 or whatever, back in the past.
Oh, 63, yeah.
When he killed Judith, and that's he was like, oh man, I really want to get a McDonald's, and now he's like still looking, is like the McDonald's still there in the 2021?
I don't know. I want to see where they're going with it. I kind of wish they would hurry up. I mean, the original plan for this was to have these movies out like pretty much back to back. I had read was that there was supposed to be one come out like in the summer and then another one come out in October, but that's been derailed because of COVID. So I wish they would hurry up and crank the other one out because I'm interested to see where they go with it.
The other element that scene that I think was just too long was the whole, they brought back the mob mentality, the mob community, the community acting as a mob, trying to get and kill Michael Myers like they did in Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers.
Yeah, and that could definitely have been trimmed by a few minutes because
10 minutes.
You get it pretty quickly that like, okay, there's a mob, they're going to go after Michael. But we didn't need like 20 minutes of it. 10 minutes was more than enough.
So in the 2018 film, the bus crashes. There's, inmates and psychopaths that are running around. 2 escaped. One of them, Michael. The other one, unknown assailant or whatever.
Well, actually, because we just watched that one the other day, they show that guy's picture and say they're all accounted for except for 2. Michael Myers and this guy, whatever his name is. We're going to call him Ratface McGee. Ratface McGee's the only one that, And this guy is crazy. We don't know what he's done, but he's still on the loose.
He's disturbed, and he's on the loose, and he's in little bits of the film where you think, is it Michael? It's kind of to like throw you off, and also to have the characters, it fuels them because they think they're going after Michael, but they're actually not.
They're Remember, our good friend, the red herring.
No one has seen what Michael Myers looks like. No one has seen Michael. Only Laurie, and that fateful night on 78, saw his face for seconds. And that was 20-something-year-old Michael. So no one has seen what he looks like, to the point where they do show that news story where they show who had escaped or who was missing. They do show Michael Myers as Michael Myers himself, obviously without the mask. And everyone is watching it, but no one can say, oh, that's Michael. No one knows what's going on. They never mentioned who it was. They just showed photos. So everyone is crazy and thinking when this, poor guy ends up in the hospital and he's looking for help, he's asking for help, everyone goes crazy and think it's Michael Myers. And then I feel like they spend the next 20 to 25 minutes in this whole mob mentality scene of
a lot of scenes of people running upstairs.
It was like, man, these people must have been tired of all these scenes running up the stairs because there's just so many of them. And so much of it. Yeah,
so we could do without that. That's really the biggest complaint I have about the movie is that scene. It could have been cut in half easily. You get the idea real quick with him chanting "Evil dies tonight" and the mob going on there, but I felt like they wanted to make sure you really knew how crazy the mob was, so it just kept going and going, and that's the only part of it that I didn't really enjoy.
Because it's set in modern day, my only explanation was maybe they were just trying to show how extra people are nowadays.
And how easy it is to rile people up over something that they don't even know what it is for sure and get them crazy.
Exactly. So many times during this year.
All you need is an internet story and everybody's ready to go.
Exactly. The fuel, you're putting the fuel to the fire and everyone's insane and no one has the real information, just bits and pieces, and then you lose your mind and then you spend 25 minutes doing something crazy. Mind you, obviously we did not clock how long it was. It just dragged on for so long and it didn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing with the film. I love how they incorporated all these side characters, not only side characters that we saw in the first film, new ones that we hadn't seen. I love character development. There's plenty of character development. There's people that were kids and people that were killed in the original. They show you, obviously they're going to end up in the morgue, but they do show, the reaction of the mom who finds her son in the morgue.
That was the other thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, yes.
This is the worst hospital ever. Because what the hell kind of hospital has the morgue with windows all over it? Windows in the door, windows everywhere with the blinds open, uncovered faces of like murdered teenagers just laying there on it, so that when the mom walks by, she can just see her son's face with like, where the spike has gone through his head and be like, oh no! Like, that is the worst hospital ever. Come on, draw a fucking blind or something. You know?
I don't know why they... Obviously, you can't have the morgue in the basement because then we're not going to have the mom see the freaking kid, which that was the main... That's why they showed that morgue like 2 times, to show you the morgue was there. Because the other scene when they pan is a naked dude. You don't see his ghibli bits because it's literally from his like stomach up.
Yeah, but like...
But it's like, he's booty naked, and if I were in the movie and I'm looking in, I'm going to see everything.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that.
Yeah, that was just weird. That was a very strange hospital setup.
The interactions of your, characters that you've known from the 78 film, they're interacting with Michael now, how they handle that, each one having their own different, experience. Some of them don't make it. Some of them do. Who knows if they're going to make it in the next movie. I just think anyone that's in Michael's way in this is he's just out to kill anyone. He likes killing. He went back. He's just walking into random people's houses that have no relation to him. They're in their house eating sandwiches, watching movies. Like, they're just fucking minding their business. He's just coming in and killing them because he's a killer. He just likes to kill. One guy that he kind of already killed, he was on death's bed, in my opinion. Shallow breaths. He decides, I don't know. I think this whole set of like ninja blades, the ninja, what is it? The knives?
The Ginsu knives?
Yeah, the Ginsu knives need to just end up on this. I'm going to put this guy on the, literally puts him on like the freaking island, like the wood block, and just goes to town, just stabbing him over and over and over again, to kind of show like, obviously he's a fucking psycho. Like, if you thought that maybe he wasn't a psycho, he is a psycho.
Yeah, he definitely. This movie makes no bones about the fact that he enjoys the killing.
Now, I do have one other thing. It didn't bother me, and I don't know if this is within contract or maybe because there is no relation, so there's no real reason for Michael to really going after Laurie. But Laurie was barely in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis was barely in the movie. She barely did anything. She's mostly in a hospital bed. Maybe she walks down the hall.
I guess they kind of had to do that because since they showed her get stabbed pretty hard in the original, and they show a pretty graphic version of her surgery in this too. You see her getting operated on, them like, stitching up her insides. They couldn't show her going out and doing a whole lot. She barely made it around the hospital when she did walk around. So maybe in the next one, maybe that one will take place a little while later, because she does say, like, who knows when we'll see Michael again? Will it be tomorrow? Will it be next Halloween? Maybe the next one is going to take place a year later.
Maybe it does.
We don't know. It could be one of those things where he's going to pop up after a while, but I think she's going to be in more of the next one.
Yeah, and I was okay with that. It didn't take away from the film for me. Like, I was like, oh, no, Jamie Lee Curtis is not in the movie. Like, it's not about her, because the movie isn't about her. Now, if there was a brother-sister relation, then I'd be like, why the hell wasn't she more in the movie? And like you said, she was only going to be, believably, she was only going to be able to do so much because the operating scene, like you said, is fucking graphic, and her whole stomach is wide open. So you're not going to just jump off a bed, and she's an old lady. Like, she's not going to jump off a bed and just start roaming the streets. She kind of started to, but then in the crazy mob riot, kind of gets like trampled, and now her stitches open up and she gets all fucked up, so she has to go back to her room. And she's sharing the room with Frank Hawkins, the sheriff or the cop.
Yeah, he's like a sheriff's deputy, I think.
And they're sharing the room together, and there's, an endearing scene of how they, had some kind of relation at one point when they were younger.
I thought they were going to reveal that he was going to be the father of her kid.
I thought so too.
But they didn't go there. I wonder if that's something they're saving for part 3 as well.
I think it's Ben Tramer, because he mentions Ben Tramer, and I'm like, wait a second, you can't mention him? And I'm like, oh, okay, if I ever forgot the first movie.
Yeah, he's Tramer, alive. He's alive because he didn't get killed in the second one by accident.
He's alive and everything's good. So I really enjoyed the film overall. I think it's the best one since the Halloween 2, the 1981 version, which it's been 40 years since the original Halloween 2. It came out October 30th, 1981. And, this Halloween 2 is coming out on the 15th, on Friday. So it was like right on time, kind of, because this movie was supposed to be released last year.
Yeah. Kind of works out better it being the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, I do like that better. So I love the 78 version, the sequel, the 1981, and this version. I really, really, really enjoyed this version a lot. Even if I had to take away the original 1981 movie, I would be okay with that and fit this one in. Obviously, that's exactly what happens, in the continuity of this series. So I had a great time. I feel like they really tied up a lot of loose ends and things here and there. We don't know what's going to happen to Michael. We don't know. There is some dialogue, like we had mentioned, between Hawkins and Strode of, do you think they know? He, asked her that. Know what? It goes nowhere, because it's literally at the end of the film where Michael's getting all beat up, and I'm like, know that he's some paranormal, like a supernatural entity? That's the one thing that we in this podcast have just been hung over. Where are they going with the supernatural part? You can't mention that so much in a film and then have the next film and not even touch it. I would think that because, everyone is in it for the money. This is not, Halloween Ends is not going to be the end. It's going to probably be the end of what we know to be Michael Myers as, but not the end of Halloween. Maybe it's going to pick up.
There'll be another gap of a few years like there was with this one. And because really the last one of what was Zombies was in 2009, the one that he did, the part 2. And then, so he had 9 years without any Halloween movies. And it'll be the same. They'll take a little break for Myers for a little bit, and then he'll come back again. Because they're always going to come back to this story because it's so compelling,
The last Halloween movie was not 1998. Unfortunately, I have to include H2O in that film.
Okay.
But that was a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, so yes, fine. There was a gap. Maybe, they're going to do what they should have, what we thought was going to happen with the whole Daniel Harris's character, Jamie, where there was going to be a transfer of, the evil spirit on to the next person. Maybe that's something they're really gearing up to and they're thinking of doing. And then it's going to end maybe ambiguous. We don't know who it's going to encompass next. That hate, because you can't get rid of hate and fear in the world. That's going to always be around. How many knives, no pun intended, how many knives do you give a film?
I'm going to go ahead and give it 4. It was good. I enjoyed it. Other than the little beef at the hospital scene, it was good.
I do give it also 4 knives. And if you saw it and you do not care for it, we are dying to know why. We want to know why specifically you do not like the movie. Now, I'm just curious because there's obviously going to be a lot of people that don't like it out there. And as someone that is such a big fan of the original or the originals, the first 2, why, I don't know. I went in with an open mind, and I was obviously pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. So I give it 4 knives. And Catch Halloween Kills. Catch Halloween Kills on Peacock and, your local theater if you happen to be hitting the theaters. We're actually doing a giveaway for a Strode Realty mug that we have on our Instagram account. If you leave a positive review or rating on iTunes,
then leave the username that you gave the review with on the post, which you'll see on our account, and then we will put all those names into a drawing on the 19th, which is Michael Myers' birthday, and we'll draw a winner of the Strode Realty mug. So please give us a good positive rating review, and then leave us the username you did it with on our Instagram account.
Yeah, thank you so much, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.